Hi, everybody. Welcome to the HooperCast. Hi, Dustin.
Hello, Hooper. I have a little bit of a sniffly coffee kind of thing going on.
Sniffly, diffily cough.
Yes.
Okay.
So bear with me.
Yeah. That's okay. I feel pretty good today, but usually that's me.
Right,
What you have.
Correct.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about a couple things today. Going to get right into it. Dustin, how far are you through Jessica Jones?
I'm 4 episodes through.
Okay. So what I figured we could do is just break it up into 2 parts, maybe, because I really do want your opinion once you finish this show.
Yeah.
But we can go ahead and do. I'm finished with it.
Gotcha. Well, I'll be honest with you, Hooper. I don't know if I'll finish it.
Uh-oh.
I like it, but I don't know if I'll finish it. So I gotta be honest with you.
Oh no. You don't think you'll finish it?
Yeah, so if you wanted to do the whole thing, I mean, today, that'd be fine.
Well, wait, why don't you want to finish it?
Just a lot of different reasons, but I mean, one of them definitely being, I don't see much of, while it's good on its own, I don't know, I'm going to start reviewing it, I guess, so I don't know if I want to steal your thunder.
No, please, because I'm curious.
I like this show. I think it's great. I think tonally, it's completely outside of what the MCU is and should be, and for that reason, I lose interest in it. I think that it trades on its it trades on the Marvel name, but nothing resembles Marvel in this film. I mean, in this show. And so for that reason, I lose interest. And then there's just a number of other, I guess more personal reasons that I won't go into on the show, but that I'll probably not watch any more of it. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I did not expect that. I'll be honest. I did not expect that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll attempt to review it now.
Yeah, don't take my. I mean, for you and for everybody out there, don't take my review as a true review. This is more like just a preference. And for me, I have a hard time latching on to a show that is as I don't know. I guess as dark as this one is,
right?
And especially in the name of Marvel, which I feel like the thing that Marvel's always had going for it with the MCU is a lighthearted comedic sort of tone, and especially over something like DC's uber realistic gritty shenanigans, and while I think they're both great, I do think that comics are should inherently be kid friendly, and I don't feel like Jessica Jones is, and that was honestly one of the problems I had with Daredevil as well, maybe that's just a personal preference, but I feel like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, go ahead. It's not an indictment of the show. It's an indictment more of myself and of the culture that yeah, I don't know. The show's great for what it is, and it's artistically created and all that good stuff. But yeah, now I'm going to review it. You go ahead and review it, Hoover. You know it. I don't know it.
Okay, well, Jessica Jones is the latest thing out of both the Marvel mill and the Netflix mill. Similar, obviously, like you mentioned, to Daredevil, where Netflix is doing all these Marvel characters in partnership with Marvel as 13-episode seasons, which at the time I think was supposed to be they were ultimately supposed to come together as the Defenders, and but now with the Perlmutter thing, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that affects Netflix or if that's just because Disney owns Marvel, but Disney doesn't own Netflix, whereas Disney owns Marvel and ABC,
right?
For S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter. So,
I think this is still really separate from the films, and I don't know what Perlmutter's involvement is. I know Jeff Loeb is sort of their go-to guy for Netflix. I'm not sure about does he work with S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I think maybe.
Okay,
but I yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, So the show, so this is the second one, the first being Daredevil, and then this series is about, it stars Kristen Ritter, who people might know from many things, but she was on a show called Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23 that got canceled, which upset a lot of people because I heard it was good. Mm-hmm. Tara, you saw it? Was it good? Okay, my wife liked the show. And Kristen Ritter also had a very memorable arc in the season 2 of Breaking Bad as well.
Yeah.
Which is where I came across her, and so I was really happy to see her get cast in something that would kind of boost her star power a bit, but also she's a good actress and she's real fun and interesting to watch on screen. So Jessica Jones is what they refer to in the MCU and whatever as gifted people, because they're not allowed to say mutants because of Fox.
Right.
So she's a gifted person who has like super strength, and she's a very cynical, sardonic private investigator in Hell's Kitchen in New York, the same area of the city as Daredevil, and she's real depressed and self-loathing and just kind of a miserable person, but in a really likable way. She drinks like a fish, and follows people around who are cheating on their spouses and stuff. So, pretty miserable existence, and basically so because of an experience she had, well, many different things, but most recently she had been under the control of this man who is called Kilgrave, who is a person who is who can make people do things. That's his ability. He says something and then you do it, no matter what it is.
Right.
You learn that one of the things that he made her do is kill somebody. So the series kind of picks up right before she gets. I think in the first episode, this couple tracks her down, and they have their daughter's been missing, and all the circumstances are kind of adding up to this kind of Kilgravey situation, because they're from like Connecticut, or I don't know, some not local New Yorkers. They're from out of state. So she's like, okay, well, why come to me? And then she basically surmises that Kilgrave is back in New York, presumably back for her. He is obsessed with her, and obviously she's afraid of him. In the course of this series, you're also introduced to people you'll probably see. Well, you will see again for one. I mean, Luke Cage, the character Luke Cage, is introduced in this show, who is getting his own Netflix series as well. But he's a prominent part of this. I mean, and also, what's up? Okay. You're saying it's good or bad?
It's good. It's really, really spicy.
Oh, is that what she's been... Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry.
No, she's eating it like a champ, and her eyes are tearing out. She drinks milk every other second. But she's
oh, my God. You don't have to...
Like
apparently, I gave my...
tongue is burning. I'm like...
I gave my daughter a spicy quesadilla, apparently. And she's eating it like... but like just...
This is delicious.
I like this. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. Okay. She's chowing down. Well, we know when you were pregnant with her, didn't you like eat a lot of spicy food all of a sudden? I feel like you craved spicy food uncharacteristically when you were pregnant with her. Well, now we know why. Certainly didn't come from me. So where was it? Oh, so yeah, so the course of the whole season is obviously Jessica's quest to eliminate Kilgrave, because and so what I like about the show, we fundamentally are in different places in terms of what you were talking about, like the tone of what these Marvel things should be. I definitely, it's weird because I don't feel like we are, like I don't think of us as having different views on that. because I agree that Marvel's always like the more comedic, more tongue-in-cheek kind of stuff, whereas DC is super serious and on a bigger scale, I feel like. But for some reason, I don't know why, it was the default of my brain with Daredevil and especially with this I just accepted, I guess, what the tone they picked, and so I'm not sure why I didn't reject its tone based on my shared feeling with you about what Marvel stuff ought to be. So
I think maybe I spoke hyperbolically or off topic, but I felt like maybe it's not necessarily the tone, although I do think that plays a big role in it, in that it doesn't feel like it fits within, say Captain America or whatever. But I feel like maybe it's the almost like, to me, I think there's a cheap way of garnering like a feeling of maturity, and I feel like Daredevil had maybe less of it, but this has a little more of it. Okay, so I think maturity is a hard concept to nail down, but that it's something that everybody strives for in their art. You want it to be mature, you want it to be accessible, and seem realistic and authentic. And I think that there are ways to do that without maybe going as far or showing as much or doing as much as, say, Jessica Jones or even Daredevil did. The idea of, as violent as Daredevil was, seeing him as a hero in the same world where Captain America is a hero is very hard for me. Mm-hmm. Likewise, in a world where Black Widow is out there, doing her job and doing it well, and although she's rough around the edges, Black Widow, trying to see Jessica Jones as a hero is strange for me in the tone that it's presented in. Although she's likable and although she's interesting to watch, I don't know that she could mature into a hero for me, in the way that Black Widow might be. And
I know what you mean. Like it would be the equivalent of like Black Widow, like sleeping with someone for information, like blatantly,
right?
Like directly implied, or the aftermath of which is shown.
Sure. I mean, yeah, exactly.
It's like the mature viewer can assume she's probably done that, but they would never ever directly allude to it because it's for kids.
Right. And I hate to seem like a prude or whatever, but I feel like Jessica Jones is a little more gratuitous than it has any right to be. In especially in some of the sexual scenes with Luke Cage and whatnot.
No kidding.
I'm just saying. I mean, again, I think maybe it's the Marvel banner being on it, and then watching that feels really strange and kind of yucky to me.
I know what you mean.
So to me, that like instantly turns me off. And maybe if it wasn't labeled as a Marvel show, maybe if this was its own thing, I would be more likely to not have a problem with that, I guess. But because it's under the Marvel banner, and I know what that Marvel banner stands for, at least to me, I find that kind of gross and unnecessary. So while it is the tone, it's also some of that, gratuitous kind of stuff. And I think that this show has so much potential even without that, because the implication behind a man who can make a woman do whatever he wants is, of course, a rapey kind of a vibe. Yeah. It gives everything this undercurrent of sexual assault. And you don't ever have to say that for me to know that that's there and that that's implied. And you don't ever have to show it for me to know that it's there and that it's implied. And that to me is maturity, because you're telling me something in a way that assumes I'm smart enough to understand what's happening. Mm-hmm. Likewise, a few clever bits of dialogue thrown in, or maybe even just the aftermath or something, is really all I would need to understand that Luke Cage and Jessica Jones have found something that they've both kind of been looking for in each other. Mm-hmm. They can be gifted together in a way that they've never been able to do before. And you didn't have to show me all of that. And so, maybe it's just that it's under that Marvel banner, but I just find that a little gross, but again, I hate to say that as an indictment of the show or to say anybody, like, dissuade anybody from watching, because that's me. Like, that's just me sitting there saying, I feel like the Marvel banner is going to attract 8 to 13-year-olds, and this is probably a little too much for them. And I thought the same for Daredevil, and of course Daredevil was better with the sexual content, but was super violent, and like I said, it's just hard to imagine him in the world with Captain America and feel like that's the same world.
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with that. I guess, and I'm not trying to draw a comparison between you or me in any good or bad way in terms of
sure.
I have a very accommodating brain.
Sure.
When it comes to things like this, so maybe it's just like a oh, okay, and then I just go.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, no, I agree. And for me, I feel like all of that needs to be earned, and all of that needs to feel appropriate under the brand name. And so I feel like maybe that's what it is, but I'm in a weird place with it, because here's what I'd say about it. Like, if you turn that part of it off, what I would say about it is it's a wonderfully cast and crafted show. It's got a great villain from what I've seen. I mean, which is what Marvel's always needed. I mean, this guy is like super creepy, and like I said, there's that rapey kind of element to it, which is super unsettling. And Marvel probably hasn't had a villain this creepy ever. It's so casting, villain wise, the way the story unfolds, I love the film noir kind of voiceover and the jazzy kind of music. I mean, that's right up my alley. I love that kind of stuff. And so turning off the brand and turning off all of that stuff that I feel is gratuitous, to me, I feel like this is a super well-crafted show, albeit somewhat frustrating at times. And again, I think I said this during Daredevil, and I don't know what I want, but again, I do think it's weird when they refer to, the big green guy and his team. I'm like, well, I think that's weird because it sounds to me like you don't have the rights to say Hulk, but I think you do, and you should, because everybody in that world would know his name at this point. It's like
a half-assed kind of thing where it's like, we want to reference the Avengers. I feel like we have to reference the Avengers, but we don't want to have to write the word Hulk into our script. So we're caught between a rock and a hard place.
Right,
except
exactly.
We're not, but we're going to be.
Right. We're going to catch ourselves between a rock and a hard place.
We're going to entrap ourselves into an impossible situation.
Right. So, stuff like that bothers me, but by and large, I mean, look, if this is your cup of tea in terms of, you wanted something a little darker out of the Marvel Universe, you wanted something a little more mature, you wanted these things, like, you're going to love this show because it's well crafted and everything that happens seems to, have a reason to happen. It's not like filler. It's not just, I don't know, supplement, I guess. It all feels natural. And yeah, I mean, if this is your cup of tea, you're going to love it. And
yeah, and that's how it is for me. I mean, I do love it. I think every episode, and for the rest of the season, no episode feels like filler or wasted, or no scene feels unneeded. It all feels essential to the story and the plot and the characters. And it does a really good job, I think, of servicing the characters while servicing the plot as well. Like you said, I mean, the villain is really good. David Tennant plays Kilgrave, and he's really good. I mean, to get a guy who's so lovable just because he's David Tennant, but I mean, he's the 10th Doctor. I mean, he's a guy who's loved internationally by audiences, and you get him to essentially play like a creepy rapist, exactly. And it's nuts. And the more you learn about him, and what I like about him as a villain is that fundamentally he's destined to always run into Jessica, because his whole thing is he's obsessed with her, because at a certain point there's this whole accident they refer to in the series because after Jessica kills that woman, she starts to like kind of walk away, and he's like, "Get back here, Jessica!" And for some reason, she's not having to obey him, and so for him, it's just like, "Huh?" And then this bus crashes while they're in like the street and stuff, and so his whole thing is like he's part of it's this curiosity of why won't my powers work on her anymore, but I must have her because I'm upset. She loves me. I know she loves me. So it's not quite a so he's very evil and despicable, but he also does have this layer of like relatability sympathy, of obsession, you know. And you know, later I don't know how spoilery you want me to get. I mean, you essentially find out that he's part of the reason he is the way he is his parents, you know, it seems like experimented on him as a kid, and you know, like, so he's kind of, you know, effed in the head a little bit.
Right.
You know, so I really like all the supporting actors. I can't really name. I can't think of it. I know one's Rachel Taylor, who plays her best friend, plays Trish, because Rachel Taylor was in Transformers, and she's Australian, and she's really hot. And so I was like, is that her? And it's her. So, and
I remember you having a little crush on her.
Oh man, I had a giant crush on that chick, and I never thought I'd see her again. So I'm so happy.
Right.
I saw her on screen. I was like, "Did you run a diagnostic? Oh, should I be? Yes, you should." Oh. Yeah. So, that was 8 years ago.
That was a long time ago, man.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of good actors in here, and I don't know. Overall, I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a pretty satisfying ending as well. And I was into it. So I do recommend that people see this. It's on Netflix, all 13 episodes. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, awesome. You know, and just to make sure, I always feel like sometimes, because I am more of a DC Comics fan, I always feel like maybe that pokes through a little bit. But I'll be honest, I would be the same way with DC, because there was that thing where everybody's been wanting Suicide Squad to be rated R, and then they finally were like, no, it's going to be PG-13. And I was like, thank God, because like this is where kids, like, this is the only place that kids, because I think of myself like as like a, you know, 10 or 12-year-old boy, like what I wanted was all of these characters on the big screen. What I wanted is to feel that, like, you know, here they all are and they're real. And so, you know, I would have done the same thing if Suicide Squad, and if it is still, you know, just too much, although it's PG-13, it won't be, but if it was an R-rated film and it just did too much, or the Joker was just too violent, then, you know, I would have lost interest, regardless of whether it's the Joker or DC or whoever. I guess I just hold these stories to a higher standard and want them to inspire little kids the way that they inspired me too. And maybe that's part of what I wanted out of this, was for little girls to latch on to Jessica Jones, but little girls can't really watch this show. So
I feel like fundamentally they can't latch on to Jessica Jones because or that they should, because she's not really a role. I mean, outside of her wanting to do good things, she even admits, like, well, obviously being the anti-hero, like, she, you know, I'm an asshole, like, I'm not a hero, blah blah blah. You know, so that whole spiel that you typically hear from. So she's a self-described, you know, anti-hero, and yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want my daughter to look up to Jessica Jones necessarily.
Sure,
you know, she's she lives a depressing existence. I mean, and she's a victim of a lot of, you know, terrible things. But I wouldn't want to teach my daughter that the way you deal with those things is become an alcoholic. You know,
right.
Sleep with strange men,
right?
You know, that sort of thing. But as a show, obviously, it's I enjoy it just because what I wanted was a tough chick, and it's mostly little things in shows like this where it's the expectation of what's about to happen, which something I really liked about Justified was that in little, I can't really even really describe them, but there's little pieces and scenes where if you're used to watching television or movies, you're like, okay, this is what typically happens next in this scene. And then what I always like is when they don't do that thing, and they come up with a more clever or equally clever way of getting through the scene or advancing the plot, or characters not making horrifically dumb decisions for no reason. Another actress who should be mentioned for this is Carrie-Anne Moss, who people probably haven't seen since The Matrix.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
She plays Trinity. She looks the same age. Like, she's aged incredibly well. And she's a lawyer, and she's also a bad person. She's purely career-minded. You know,
kind of sleazy.
You know, sleazy, very callously, you know, cheated on her spouse, and you know, not a great person. But all these actors do such a good job of handling the dialogue and making their characters, you know, to some degree, you root for them, or you at least enjoy watching them. Yeah. So, and David Tennant managed to make, you know, this guy just fun to watch. I don't want to say Joker-esque, like in the way of how he gleefully, you know, executes terrible things,
right?
You know, because it's not the same level, but just in the way of like a very charismatic guy who it's no wonder, like even if he didn't have the power to control what you do, you would probably do whatever he said, because he's really handsome. He's English. He's handsome. He dresses nicely, and he just seems so fun. And then when you realize, like, oh, he enslaves people's minds, and you know, makes certain people do certain things. It's like, oh, like how could such a terrible person live in such a beautiful exterior?
Right,
you know?
right.
But that's why they cast him, and he does a great job. So, yeah, I guess that's all we'll say for Jessica Jones. I'm kind of running over. We might only have time for one of your films.
Fine. I also want to say I do love the guy that plays Luke Cage. I feel like he's like perfectly cast.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he's really good, and so I thought that was a good casting job. Crap, I should know these things. I should have pulled it up.
And I knew I was going to say that, so I should have pulled it up as well.
Hang on, I'll look for his name. Google is unavailable. No, it's not. Shut up.
Mike Coulter.
Right. Mike Coulter. Okay. Okay, yeah, he's well cast as Luke Cage. So
yeah. A big shout out to Mike.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you got another film festival movie you want to talk about, correct?
Yeah, I got another film festival movie for you guys. It's called Becoming Bulletproof. It is a documentary / Western, but it's really just a documentary. So essentially, the film is about a group of people who are all disabled in some way, and they all aspire to be filmmakers or actors or performers or what have you. And there's a summer camp that these people go to every year, and when they get there, they have, you know, their caretakers, and they themselves make a movie. And so every year, these movies are just sort of fun, and they kind of, you know, just put them out, you know, for them to watch at the end of the you know, big, you know, trip or whatever. And it's just for their own sake. But they decided this year that they were going to do something a little special. And I think this is filmed a few years ago. But they decided they were going to do something a little special, and they were going to try to make a legit short film that would play at film festivals. And so they wanted to go all out. Like, they had a budget, they have all of this stuff. They wrote a script. Like, so they wrote this Western for these people to play in. And they went out, they found an old ghost town, they filmed it there. Excuse me. So A.J. Murray is the main character here. He has severe cerebral palsy and has always dreamed of being an actor. But because of his disability, is confined to a wheelchair and does not have any muscular development in his legs. So he, you know, can't and also in his arms too, to an extent. So anyway, long story short, he has found it quite difficult to be in films. So when he's discovered this summer camp or whatever it is, he wants to be a part of this, and he gets his opportunity, and he goes out there and to help them make this film. And so the film is super fun. It's super funny. AJ Murray is super charming and just kind of leads this whole documentary in really cool, like fun ways. So, there's like a little segment where they're asking him about girls and what he thinks, will he get married? Is he dating anybody? This kind of stuff. And it's all funny, but it's all real sweet and very authentic. So I guess I didn't do a great job of explaining that the documentary, I explained what was happening, but not what the documentary is. The documentary, Becoming Bulletproof, is about, these people making this Western. So essentially it's a film crew filming a film crew. And, so it's a little meta like that, but it's really cool. It's like a behind the scenes kind of thing of the making of a short film. And it sort of challenges a lot of the Hollywood stereotypes and standards where people like AJ Murray probably wouldn't get a chance to be in anything. You think about, RJ Mitty, who has cerebral palsy. Probably he's going to find it difficult to get roles in anything post Breaking Bad because those kind of roles aren't written. Right. It's not that. It's one of two things: either they're not written, or when they are, they get an actor to play like he has cerebral palsy. And in both cases, they rob opportunities from people who do have cerebral palsy or whatever the case may be. From fulfilling their own dreams and having the opportunity to play characters because, AJ Murray may never play Superman, but he can play a whole host of different characters if Hollywood would just give him the opportunity. And so anyway, what happens in this film is, they get that opportunity. And they make a film, and it's super sweet and very charming, and it's really funny. So I'm not sure what the long-term plan is for this film. I know right now they're in their Academy Award push. Mm-hmm. They've been shortlisted for Best Documentary Feature, and I think they have a pretty good chance of taking home the award. It's just that great of a documentary. But whenever it's released, whether that be on Netflix or DVD or what have you, I highly recommend that you check this out. I think, and I should probably double check this too, that if you Google search Becoming Bulletproof.
I've got it pulled up.
Yeah, becomingbulletproofmovie.com. I was told there's a way to host a screening of the film in your hometown. Yeah. And there's a little place where you can watch it. So, for instance, there's screenings going on in New York and LA and a few other places. So, it's if you get the chance to see it, I think you'll really love it. It's a great feel-good movie, and it'll make you laugh a lot and really kind of make you realize. I mean, not that we don't realize this, but I think we all know it subconsciously that Hollywood's a very one-dimensional place. Most of the stories are written about white men, and so it kind of grabs your attention when something like Jessica Jones comes out and it's led by a female actress who is as strong as Kristen Ritter is. It just kind of sticks out from the ordinary. And I would love to see Hollywood kind of embrace a more diverse group of films, but I realize too that I can't just sit here and say Hollywood needs to make more movies about people with disabilities or whatever, or more movies about minorities or whatever, because the truth is all that starts from the artistic perspective. I mean, all film starts artistically somewhere, and so the truth is, what we need is more people writing films about this, and Hollywood will catch on. I mean, just when you open up the doors for these people, you're going to find a lot of really great talent that otherwise would never be seen, and that's what Becoming Bulletproof is all about, is showing what these people are capable of, and what they want and what they desire is no different from what you desire and what I desire. And, they just want to entertain people and make a mark in the world and have fun. And, So anyway, if you get a chance to see Becoming Bulletproof, please do it. If you are listening out there and for some reason you are able to vote for the Academy Awards, that would be legit. I mean, do we have anybody like that? Give them throw them a bone. They deserve it. So yeah.
Well, a couple minutes left in theaters. In theaters now. I don't see anything that I really would be even interested in seeing, to be honest.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, not on Fandango. There's a movie called MI5, which the cover and the title is real misleading because it's not Mission Impossible 5. It's a movie called MI-5. You see the cover?
That looks just like...
Doesn't it look like Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
I can tell it's Jon Snow just because I recognize Kit Harington.
Sure,
but other than that, I was like, is this like a knockoff? And I had to click on it to see.
That's insane, man.
But it's not. But it's... I feel like a lot of people buy tickets because they'll think it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. I don't see much. Honestly.
You don't want to see Krampus?
See what is that? The horror movie?
Yeah, kind of. It's a PG-13 horror movie, which means it's probably not going to be any good. But it's about like a dude, like a boy or whatever, who ends up summoning a demon to his home for Christmas. And
nice.
And it's based on the old legend of Krampus.
The Krampus, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's pretty cool.
I mean, it has what's his name, David Koechner and Adam Scott.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this a comedy or not a comedy? Why would you cast those two people and not a comedy? But I don't know what's going on, man.
C'est la vie. Oh crap! Now I have to call DirecTV.
I kind of want to see it though. I think it'd be unintentionally hilarious.
Yeah. Well, you get back to me on that.
I will. I'm sure next week I'll say no. I didn't see that, but I would like to see it. But I will wait for when it's $1.
Right. All right. Well,
see Krampus.
Well, I guess that'll do it for the HooperCast this week.
Yeah.
So next week, I have no idea what we'll talk about. I'll try and see a film, and I know Dustin's got plenty.
Yeah, we got a few more.
And so now that Jessica Jones is done, I'm resuming keeping up with current shows. I'm caught up on the Muppets. I got to catch up on the League, and I'll be continuing my normal cycle of TV consumption. So
yeah, I got to catch up on Muppets. I'm a few behind, I think.
Yeah, I'm just two. But there was just 2 missing from mine when I checked it last. Probably last night's needs to make it in there too. So
I gotcha.
But yeah. So okay. Well, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.
Oh.